Facebook. Today, investors are seeking class action status in a lawsuit claiming the social media giant and its underwriters withheld critical information from the public ahead of Friday's IPO. Joining us now is Yale Law School professor Jonathan Macy to make sense of this, well, mess. Jonathan, welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be back with you, Mary.
Now, Jonathan, the SEC governs these financial disclosure rules surrounding IPOs. Tell us a little bit about what these rules are exactly, and do they make sense given what's just happened with Facebook?
Well, the rules get changed every time there's a crisis. Do they make sense? No, but there's so many rules and they're so complicated. Essentially, what you had was that shortly before the public offering in early May, Morgan Stanley amended the public disclosures in the prospectus about the advertising revenues of Facebook. It gave pessimistic news. Later, we had financial analysts also expressing some kind of bearish sentiment, and people are really complaining about that, claiming selective disclosure. And they have a couple problems. One is we have the prospectus amendment that Morgan Stanley will point to. Number two, the SEC and Congress in Sarbanes-Oxley imposed very strict separation of the research function and the analyst function, also in a famous settlement of a lawsuit brought by the SEC. And so we have this separation. The analysts are separated from the research department, and they are acting independently. And this is something that's been absolutely standard operating procedure in public offerings. You don't often see people getting bearish like this, but this is what we wanted. We said that the analysts were way too optimistic in the Jack Grubman days at Citigroup, and
so this is what we wanted, Jonathan, right? This is what we wanted. Okay, but what responsibilities do investors have here? I mean, if Facebook announced that they had weak ad revenues, shouldn't have investors known better, regardless of whether or not Morgan Stanley or Goldman told them about it?
Well, incredibly, the fact of the matter is that there are some people, it seems, who wanted to buy into Facebook. They associate Facebook with success. They associate Facebook with glamour and tech. And I think, as one of the things that happens with markets is astute investors make money and people who are less astute get separated from their money. And, that's what capitalism is all about.
We're talking to Yale Law School professor Jonathan Macy about the legal mess that Facebook's underwriters find them in. And I'll just insert here that Jonathan, when he last appeared with us, told viewers to short Facebook stock, which is looking like a pretty good call, Jonathan. I want to ask you really briefly about the Jobs Act reform that Congress put through earlier this year. Under that set of disclosure rules, would what Morgan Stanley and Goldman did be legal?
Yes, that is to say, the Jobs Act only covers what are called emerging growth companies, but that's any company with revenues of less than $5 billion a year. And so, that probably wouldn't have covered, wouldn't cover Facebook. But for a company, for the 70% or so of companies that it would cover, the rules are very plain that analyst communications with investors on a selective basis, if you will, is permissible. So people really saw this as something that was impairing capital formation. So they liberalized it, and we'll see what we'll see. We see that these rules do cause problems.
Jonathan, very briefly, this lawsuit filed today, class action, potential class action. Does it have legs in your view?
Well, these lawsuits have their own economics, Mary, in the sense that even a lawsuit with zero merit and even zero probability of success can still have a positive settlement value for the plaintiffs if the plaintiffs can inflict enough pain and cost on the defendants with negative publicity and with tying up key executives in depositions for days at a time. So, I think the case will settle. We don't have enough facts really to know whether there's any legal ground to stand on. It seems, on the basis of the facts that we now know that are uncontroversial, it seems like not a very meritorious lawsuit.
Okay, well, Jonathan, unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it at that.